2 Corinthians 9. For as touching the ministering to the saints, it is superfluous for me to write to you. For I know the forwardness of your mind, for which I boast of you to them of Macedonia, that Achaia was ready a year ago, and your zeal hath provoked very many. Yet have I sent the brethren, lest our boasting of you should be in vain in this behalf, that, as I said, ye may be ready. Lest haply, if they of Macedonia come with me, and find you unprepared, we, that we say not ye, should be ashamed in this same confident boasting. Therefore I thought it necessary to exhort the brethren that they would go before unto you, and make up beforehand your bounty, whereof ye had notice before, that the same might be ready as a matter of bounty, and not as of covetousness. But this I say, he which soweth sparingly shall reap also sparingly, and he which soweth bountifully shall reap also bountifully. Every man according as he purposeth in his heart, so let him give, not grudgingly, or of necessity, for God loveth a cheerful giver. And God is able to make all grace abound toward you, that ye, always having all sufficiency in all things, may abound to every good work. As it is written, He hath dispersed abroad, He hath given to the poor, His righteousness remaineth for ever. Now he that ministereth seed to the sower both minister bread for your food, and multiply your seed sown, and increase the fruits of your righteousness, being enriched in everything to all bountifulness, which causeth through us thanksgiving to God. For the administration of this service not only supplieth the want of the saints, but is abundant also by many thanksgivings unto God. Whiles by the experiment of this ministration they glorify God for your professed subjection unto the gospel of Christ, and for your liberal distribution unto them, and unto all men, and by their prayer for you, which long after you, for the exceeding grace of God in you. Thanks be unto God for His unspeakable gift.
Amen. It's September 1st, 2014. This is your host, Mike Callahan, and welcome to the Watchman News. That was 2 Corinthians, or 2 Corinthians, chapter 9. And Jason, if you happen to be out there, I sent you an invite. Hopefully that works correct. I don't know if you're out there. So anyway, we may have a guest tonight. I'm not quite sure yet. Let me go ahead and get on with Suspicious Observers. And maybe if he's out there, maybe we can get him linked up and get him in here, and we'll go from there. So let's start out with Suspicious Observers and see what he has to say. I have seen that there's a report on another website about there being a sunspot It seems to be near Earth facing, and it seems like it could be a doozy. So, without further ado, Ben Davison, Suspicious Observers.
Good morning, folks. Eyes on the sun. Sun-diving comet. This energetic ball is going to make its final approach today. Gives us something to monitor on our star. Not like we really need one, though. Bit of backstory. 2 years ago, we watched a massive filament turn onto the Earth-facing disk. It released and produced one of the most spectacular eruptions we'd ever seen. Today, that mega filament on the north has stood firm, and we'll await any movement there. Top stories. These are images of the latest landslide in China. 22 dead, dozens more affected. As Antarctic ice continues to bounce from tying to breaking record high ice records, I keep getting emails asking if the expansive freezing of that H2O wouldn't be raising the sea level there more than any other place. So I almost laughed out loud this morning when exactly that was blamed on ice melt. By the way, it's the 7-year anniversary of Al Gore saying we're 7 years from seeing no ice up north. I'm doing the math to update from a few days ago. We're actually about 60% above the record low ice mark for this time of year. Had some rumbling in Costa Rica and El Salvador, and more up north in Iceland. The alert level ticked back up as lava chutes made for an aesthetic wonder that has yet to significantly affect air travel like it did back in 2010. Let's look at the solar wind. We actually had a speed peak over 500 kilometers per second a bit ago. Density remained firm. The enhanced solar wind could be from those eruptions on the 26th or from the northern positive coronal holes departing now. Either way, the KP remains in flux at and just below instability. Protons, electrons, and the magnetometer, oh my. The solar flaring hit C7 yesterday, but no more. Came from that departing group I'm watching for a goodbye pop at the limb up north. Meanwhile, the new newbies down south are magnetically unlikely to produce flaring with a gamma-positive loner fading on the left and perfect magnetic separation on the right. Earth indeed left the positive influence yesterday as the negative southern coronal hole entered the Earth-facing fourth of the sun and became geo-effective. The extension is of moderate power, and the base is very strong. Otherwise, it was a pretty calm day on the sun. We're just eyeing that filament. Tropics watch. A new low is being monitored in the southern Gulf of Mexico. It doesn't have any organization at the moment, but any Uyen factor ramp will set it in motion with a number, a name, and a one-way ticket north-northwest across Mexico and Texas. To the north, like way north, this low draws her convergence way down south into the central United States. The slightly eastward motion of the cell this evening will bring bad weather and flash flooding to the central and Midwest states here. Spot that thin convergence over southeast Australia, and also the low just astride of northern New Zealand. Thunderstorm warnings aren't much to speak of, but isolated heavy precipitation is possible in the purple areas. Cristobal, remnants over top of Iceland. Gotta eye the flow from the Mediterranean up north to just shy of Norway, Sweden, and Finland. The storm and precipitation warnings are just shy as well, and that's a little shift from when they indeed crept up over southern Sweden and created some terrible flood events. We've got images from the rescues, the global storm watches, and shots of our star to close. It's 6:20 a.m. Eastern Time, 4:20 a.m. local time, and that's the news. Eyes open, no fear. Be safe, everyone.
Again, thanks to Ben Davidson with Suspicious Observers. And I do not have Jason yet. If you are out there, buddy, I sent you an invite. I really don't know how to use it other than that. And if you are out there and having issues, send me a message. So anyway, let me get on with the first story, and we shall go from there. Imminent ISIS threat to U.S. power grid. ISIS terrorists pose an imminent threat to the U.S. electric grid with the capacity to coordinate a devastating assault on our nation's infrastructure, warned a leading Homeland Security and terrorism expert on a radio interview Sunday. Dr. Peter Pry, a former CIA officer, is executive director of the Task Force on National and Homeland Security and director of the U.S. Nuclear Strategy Forum, both congressional advisory boards. He also served in the Congressional EMP Commission, the Congressional Strategic Posture Commission, and the House of Armed Services Committee. There's an imminent threat from ISIS to the national electric grid, not just to a single U.S. city, said Pry. Pry was speaking on Aaron Klein Investigative Radio on New York's AM 970, The Answer. Outlining the threat, Pry recalled a leaked U.S. Federal Energy Regulatory Commission report divulged this past March that coordinated terrorist attacks on just 9 of the nation's 55,000 electrical power substations could provoke coast-to-coast blackouts for up to 18 months. Such an attack would mirror the devastating impact of an electromagnetic pulse attack without need for any nuclear device or delivery system. The chances of a major electrical outage across America are now surging. Get your autograph. Oh, that's an ad. Pardon that. The Congressional EMP Commission previously estimated that within 12 months of a nationwide blackout, upwards of 90% of the U.S. population could possibly die from disease, lack of food, and resources, and larger societal breakdown. And this is what I've been trying to explain to people. Yes, those are not inflated numbers, not by any means whatsoever. Easily 90%, if not more. Speaking to Klein's audience, Pry pointed specifically to the possibility of ISIS immediately hiring Mexican extremists known as Knights Templar drug cartel, which last year successfully utilized guns and Molotov cocktails to attack numerous Mexican power stations, leaving 11 towns without electricity. Now those guys just across our southern border, stated Pry. Yeah, they probably were just across the border. I don't doubt now that they are very well here. Pry continued, that means that ISIS doesn't have to actually come to the United States on those U.S. passports. You know, Obama is always talking about how he's got a phone. Well, ISIS has got a telephone too. All they've got to do is contact the Knights Templar, wire these guys $10 million. I mean, they'll do anything for money and say, hey, go across that open U.S. border and take out the electric grid in Arizona or New Mexico or Minnesota or New York or the entire nation. Pry summarized, such an attack on the U.S. power grid would be difficult for them. There are open source computer models where you can figure out which of those 9 critical transformer substations, where if attacked, they would take down the whole national power grid, he said. So something like that could be arranged. It could happen tomorrow. It could happen next week. Pry pointed out ISIS allies in al-Qaeda last June attacked power lines in Yemen that left the entire nation without power for a day. He took issue with the statement last week from former Deputy Director of the CIA, Mike Morrell, who said it would take ISIS 2 to 3 years to develop the capacity to carry out a 9/11 style attack. Morrell stated that over the long term, 2.5, 3 years, we need to worry about a 9/11 style attack by ISIS. Countered Pry, I don't think that's true at all. You know, because they can hire these criminal gangs that are south of our porous border, or criminal gangs that are already present here. We also have Muslim terrorist cells already in the country that would be willing to do anything for money, and it's very easy to attack the electrical grid, he added. Pry also warned of rogue nations such as Iran and North Korea passing ISIS a nuclear device and delivery system such as a Scud missile to launch an actual EMP attack. Well, let me explain this to you, okay? Just as much as they want to push that, okay, they can give ISIS money, they can do this, they can pick up a telephone, well, they can also get on a plane, because I do believe that ISIS has the technology to know how to walk. So if they can get on a plane and they can get to South America, guess what? They can walk right across the border. And they're talking 2.5, 3 years? How about 2.5, 3 minutes? It really does not take a lot of effort. And I'll tell you what, it was already released in the past which power substations were the dangerous ones. that came out, what, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, something like that, when they did their report. They didn't try to hide the information. It's all out there. It's all open. It's not like it's something that that anybody's got to really think about or wonder about or anything else. It's all out there. It's ready to go. So, you know, it's almost like we're pushing this story to be able to find somebody that's willing to do it. And that's pretty much, you know, where we're at. We're just waiting for somebody that's bold enough to do it, to come into this country and just do it. So anyway, I wanted to point out that story. I thought it was rather important. Again, they're heavily stammering on this electrical grid issue, and that's one of the issues that I've been trying to warn people to really keep an eye on, because if we lose our power grid, that is really going to bring this country to its knees. That's just a fact. That's just the way it is. So let's go on with the next story. Saudis are on the verge of joining Russia in non-dollar oil sales. And this is something else to pay close attention to. Because I'll tell you what, if the U.S. dollar loses the reserve currency, I guarantee you're going to see something happen in this country. I guarantee it. I mean, even if there was no such thing as a false flag that happened or anything like that, you know, if the U.S. dollar loses its reserve currency, the U.S. dollar is going to fail. It's that simple, because it's fiat based. So it's just absolutely going to collapse. Well, when that happens, of course, you're going to have rioting. You're going to have all kinds of fun stuff. So this is something as well to pay attention to. I think we're going to have, like I've said before, a combination of things. I don't think it's going to be any one thing. I think it's going to be multiple things that happen at roughly the same time. So on with the story. Last week, Russia announced a game-changing shift for energy, in which they are allowing the sale of oil and natural gas to be done with both rubles and yuan, bypassing the dollar and cracking the 40-year-old petrodollar system. And on August 31st, Dr. Jim WIllie reported during an interview with TF Metals Report that this breakaway from the U.S. hedge money over the purchasing of oil is not being limited to just Russia, but that the foundational country of petrodollar origin, Saudi Arabia, wow, having issues talking, I apologize, is in talks with the Eurasian energy giant to join them in a partnership that will also disconnect the Arab kingdom from the dollar, and open energy sales with the OPEC nations to be done in rubles, yuan, and perhaps even the euro. While speaking with Craig Ferguson of TF, Craig Ferguson, I think it's a different one, folks, TF Metal Report, Dr. Jim WIllie also pointed out that while Russia was not fully ready to use the ruble as a primary currency for a large portion of their oil sales, the inclusion of the yuan by Gazprom will allow multitudes of nations to bypass the dollar and allow them to purchase oil directly from Russia without having to be enslaved to SWIFT and the financial mechanisms of the reserve currency that the U.S. has not only for profit, but as a financial weapon. Let me double check to make sure I ain't got a message waiting for me. Nope. Okay. So basically, what they're getting at, it's like I've said before. They're doing everything they can to sidestep the U.S. dollar. I've got the link for these stories. I'm not going to read all this because the economy is kind of boring. But anyway, a lot of the stuff I talk about is boring in a sense. I mean, at the same time, it's some of the most important information we could possibly know at this time. So, although it be boring, it's very important. So, but the link is there. If you want to read the story, the link is in the About tab. And if people don't see what's happening, they are absolutely blind. And we are about to lose this nation as we know it. That's a fact. That's a fact. You just have to just take a look, okay? So the unrest in other countries is something that I've been keeping a close eye on. Sorry. Top communist, I can't speak tonight. I don't know what's wrong. Probably too much coffee. Top communist official heckled as Beijing rules out open elections in Hong Kong. Maybe I just need to try to read slower. That might work, huh? Activists has disrupted a speech by senior Communist Party official as pro-democracy groups declared Hong Kong would enter an era of civil disobedience and protest against Beijing's decision to retain a tight hold on future elections for the city leader. Police used pepper spray to disperse a small number of protesters who had breached a security checkpoint, prompting complaints of excessive force and highlighting the potential for miscalculation as tensions between protesters and police build. Pro-democracy group Occupy Central pledged to unleash wave after wave of protests, culminating in a mass sit-in to cripple Hong Kong's financial center after Beijing rejected the public nomination of candidates for the chief executive on Sunday. Student organizations have also threatened to boycott classes in the thousands. Most demonstrators on Monday, including a number of pan-Democrat legislators, were ushered out by security guards for repeatedly interrupting Li Fei, the National People's Congress Standing Committee Deputy Secretary General, who had flown in from Beijing to explain the central government's framework for the 2017 chief executive election. In a rare show of open dissent towards a Communist Party official, demonstrators, many dressed in black and wearing yellow ribbons, held up signs reading "shameful" and saying that Beijing had lost credibility. Beijing's decision pushed back against months of rallies and street demonstrations for supporters of opposing sides that have increasingly polarized the city. Members of the audience clapped as they were led out, while there were also pro-Beijing Chinese flag wearers outside the auditorium. Under Beijing's framework, 2 or 3 candidates would be put forward for election after being granted approval by the majority of a 1,200-strong nomination committee. In his speech in Hong Kong on Monday, Mr. Li said this did not pose an unreasonable limitation. Every aspirant could run in the race after securing enough nominations, he said. Voters would be confused, he added, if there were too many candidates to choose from. But opposition politicians say the committee is typically stacked with business elites and pro-Beijing figures, leaving those with a dissenting voice no chance of making the ballot. Mr. Li said the central government held a dim view of the Occupy Central and would not tolerate it. Sounds like our government. We give in because some people engaged in illegal activities. I mean, I understand that's not the United States. They may not have, First Amendment rights and all that, but if we give in because some people engaged in illegal activities, that would only bring about more worse law-breaking behavior, he said. If Occupy Central indeed happens, we believe the Hong Kong Special Administration region government and its well-trained police forces are fully capable of handling it. Of course they are. All across the world, they have militarized police. This is global. This is a global issue. This is not just within the United States. This is global. Braving intermittent rain under a gleaming Hong Kong skyline, thousands of demonstrators flocked a rally organized by Occupy Central outside government offices on Sunday night. Police estimated more than 2,600 attended the rally at its peak. This is about wanting a fair and proper election, said the webpage editor Dion, I don't know how to say that, C24, who attended Sunday's rally with her 50-year-old mother, Wang Chi-yi. Wrong pronunciation. The central government doesn't respect the voice of the Hong Kong people. We want them to hear our voice and to see the determination of Hong Kong people. And I'm not going to really read the rest. You can go ahead and read the rest of that if you'd like. But I'm just trying to give you a little glimpse. This is global. This issue is global. It's just not within the United States. This is not a national problem. This is an international problem. Nobody in no country is going to get a fair shake. And any country that tries to keep straight, to try to stay independent, to stay out of the global banking cartel, because that's what it is, it's a cartel, they're going to get bombed. They're going to get attacked. That's what the United Nations does. It's what the IMF does. They destroy countries that won't play ball with them. That's a fact. And I'll tell you what, in our own country, when the people finally figure it out, and when the people finally stand up, and when the people finally fight back, you're going to see the UN in here so fast you can't see straight. And our country is going to be totally dissolved economically. And then you're going to have the IMF step in and say, well, here, we'll give you this loan to help you out so that you won't just completely fall. And then our fake government that's in office is going to say, okay, we'll take the loan. And then guess what? In exchange for that, the IMF is going to use as collateral what little resources that we even still own, which isn't much. It's not much. We don't even own much of our own fresh water anymore. They're going to take the rest of that. They're going to take our oil reserves. They're going to take absolutely everything. And then the United States and all of us belong to the global powers. That's a fact. You can think I have a tinfoil hat on all you want. It doesn't change the truth. It just doesn't. I'm sorry. We have to speak out. It's already too late to speak out. But what else are we going to do? We can't, we can't just let this happen. The only thing we can do is speak out, and it's going to be rough. It's going to be rough because if we can do anything about it, we are going to be on our own. We will be segregated from the world. We are going to have to give up our toys. We're going to have to give up our iPhones. We're going to have to get up this, that, and the other thing. And we're going to have to worry about surviving and surviving alone and then rebuild from there. But the only other option is just to give in for good. Just be done. Cash in our chips. I don't know about you, but that don't sound like a lot of fun to me. I don't know. Fun Monday, isn't it? Fun Labor Day, right? Sorry. Wait. This one comes from RT. U.S. judge rules Microsoft must hand over personal data stored abroad. Microsoft has been told it must hand over emails stored abroad to U.S. prosecutors by a New York court. However, the software giant says it will fight the ruling, saying an email deserves the same privacy protection as a paper letter sent by mail. The company says they will not release emails to U.S. authorities while it appeals the ruling made by Chief Judge Loretta Preska of the U.S. District Court in Manhattan. She said that Microsoft must hand over information regardless of where it was stored. Microsoft will not be turning over the email and plans to appeal, a Microsoft spokesperson told Reuters. Everyone agrees this case can and will proceed to the appeals court. This is simply about finding the appropriate procedure for that to happen. Preska says her decision is final, but she will allow Microsoft to appeal the ruling and has asked both parties to give their planned courses of action by September 5th. This case appears to be the first of its kind in which a corporation is challenging a U.S. search warrant to obtain data being held overseas. So let me just really break this down for you, okay? Just like our politicians, just like our elections, just like the debates that we have in Congress, it's a dog and pony show. It's a dog and pony show. Because let me tell you what, our government has more or less owned Microsoft since the beginning. Just like they own Apple, just like they own anybody else out there, any of these major corporations, okay? Look, they've got back doors into our operating system. They've got back doors right into the computer. Look, Microsoft knows about it. They know about it. They allowed them to do it. So let's not mince words. Let's not play games. Let's just be straight. This is just a dog and pony show. They're just trying to say, hey, look, we're trying to be the good guy here. It's a joke. It's a joke. But I thought I'd share it with you because, well, Now, North Korea ruled Ferguson, and I don't know if I covered this or not. I had a link for it, and I honestly don't remember saying anything. So I went ahead. I found this on the Washington Post. I do not have the link for it, I don't think, in the About tab, but you can go to the Washington Post. You see the headline there. If you really want to read it, I guarantee you can find it rather easily. North Korea says Ferguson was a disgrace, and the United States are now a laughingstock of the world. The shooting of Michael Brown and subsequent standoff between protesters and police in Ferguson made headlines around the world, with allies treating it like a war zone and depots using it to voice their considerable schadenfreude. Wow, that's an English word? About America's place in the world. North Korea, however, had remained silent on the subject until today. In an article titled DPRK Foreign Ministry Spokesperson Terms U.S. Human Rights Abuser, North Korea's state news agency, KCNA, has taken the U.S. to task for the problems that led to Ferguson and the police response to it. Here's how KCNA describes the case. Some days ago, a black teenager was shot to death by a white policeman in Ferguson City, Missouri State, and the U.S. and police ruthlessly cracked down on protesters, leveling their rifles at them and firing tear gas and smoke shells. Against this backdrop, there occurred a shuddering incident in another city in which a policeman shot another young black man to death. The U.S. is, indeed, a country only violating the human rights where people are subject to discrimination and humiliation due to their races and are seized with such horror that they do not know when they are shot to death. Obviously, that must have been written by a foreigner. Anyway, here's the point. Here's the deal, right? I think he's just doing this to look good, okay, within his own country. I really think that that's all it is. However, that does not make him incorrect. Not whatsoever. It's crazy when our president will stand up and they will talk about other countries like Egypt and Libya, any place that they have, protests and all that, and tear gas and rubber bullets and beanbag bullet, or it's used. The LRAD systems, all this stuff, all these less than lethal stuff, is used on protesters in other countries. You see our president get up and say, "Oh, this is terrible. They shouldn't be doing this. This is a humanitarian crisis." Blah 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 blah. But when the same thing happens in our country, they use the same heavy-handed tactics, and I guess we're supposed to view it as being different. I don't know. I don't see people other than the protesters and those that are directly connected to the protesters standing up and doing a thing about it. I don't. People, they pick sides. Like right now with the Ferguson thing, it has turned into just a total race thing. People have totally forgot about their rights being violated, and it's sickening. It is really, really sickening, because unless we learn to stop fighting each other, we're not ever going to be able to fight the system. That's just a fact, and I say it over and over and over. We need to get it through our heads. We have to stop fighting each other. It doesn't matter to me what religion you are, what race you are, whatever. I don't care. I don't care what your sexual preference is. Sure, I've got my own opinions. I've got my own opinions in all of it. But that's not what matters. I'm not narcissistic, and we need to stop the narcissistic attitudes in this country. We really do. Take a look at Facebook or any social media. Look at all the selfies. Huh? That's narcissism. Look it up. Look it up. Even this ALS Ice Bucket Challenge thing, sure, it looks good on the surface, it's for a good cause, and yada, 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 but people are using it for narcissism. I'm involved in the vaping community, electronic cigarettes, right? And all you have to do is join a vaping group on Facebook, and all you will see is, video after video after video of people, they've got to blow the biggest clouds. Who cares? Who cares? Really? Seriously. It's narcissism. And the whole time that everybody's focusing just only on themselves, they are losing sight of the big picture. And as a result, we're going to lose our country. We're going to lose everything. Everything. We're not going to have networks for you to post selfies. We're not going to have stores or the money to be able to buy the devices to become a personal fog machine, or whatever the case may be. We won't have the fuel to put in our fancy car, fancy motorcycle. We've got to stop. It's a fact. I'm not trying to ride people here. I'm trying to be straight. I'm trying to be honest. I'm trying to be real. Because nobody else is doing it. Not many people are doing it. They're not putting the pieces together. And unfortunately, it just seems like people can't put it together themselves. So I want to do another story, or go on to another story. This is from Raw Story, but more to Labor Day type of events. And you did not hear me say Happy Labor Day or whatever, and you're not gonna hear me say it. I'm not gonna say it. I'm sorry. I apologize. Until people are willing to stand up and fight back for the rights that people died for, people got hurt for, people that gave up everything for. We lost almost every one of those labor rights. But people go out there in the name of symbolism and they drinking a beer and having a barbecue and a good old time and enjoying their day off and don't even realize that they had given up what this day was about. It's a shame. It really is. Washington conservative think tank to boycott Labor Day by working on Monday. See, we're going to boycott it. We're going to go to work. See the mindset here? A conservative group in Olympia, Washington has vowed to boycott Labor Day because of the holiday's association with labor unions. See? Dividing people, union, non-union. Hey, let's give up another right. Let's give up another holiday because, people are dense enough they'll fight over whether they're union or non-union, and people will try and make other people's decisions for them because they're narcissistic. You see how this all ties in together? It does. It ties in together for good reason. Well, for bad reason, for bad cause, but for them it's a good reason. They're achieving it. According to the Seattle Times, business-backed conservative think tank, the Freedom Foundation, plans to protest the national holiday by refusing to take Monday off and having a work-in all day instead. I can't think of a problem in society that can't be traced in some way to the abuses of organized labor. So it would be hypocritical of us to take a day off on its behalf, said the Freedom Foundation CEO Tom McCabe. Times columnist Danny Westmeat pointed out that if McCabe really wants to protest union-led reforms in the workplace, then he should work every Saturday as well. You see what we're doing? See what we're doing? We're giving it up. We're giving it up. What are they doing now? It sounds to me like they're trying to give up the 40-hour work week. That's what it sounds like right there. What's odd about it, though, Westmeat wrote, is that only 12% of the American workers even belong to unions anymore. Yet we, I say we because I'm in that 12%, somehow retain an almost supernatural mind-meld authority over the oppressed and hapless other 88%. Freedom Foundation materials call public labor unions a disease that is running rampant in Washington state. Westmeat pointed out Seattle-based company Boeing's fiasco with the 787 Dreamliner jet building program, in which Boeing management ran roughshod over the union protest about how the massive jetliners were being built. The 787 is now being called a case study in how not to build an airplane, Westmeat said. The jets were grounded all over the world after serious problems were found in their electrical systems and fuel lines, costing the company billions. It was the workers who warned that the program wasn't going to fly, and management who ignored them, Westmeat wrote. Yet it was management who was handsomely rewarded, while the workers, when they weren't saving in the Dreamliner debacle from imploding, who had their retirement slashed. Well, let's all protest against the stagnant wages and outsourced incomes and all the other realities of work in America by working on Labor Day, the columnist concluded, saying that he isn't just taking Monday off, I'm boycotting Tuesday too. This is ridiculous. See how they can get people at each other? And as long as they can get people at each other, they can take, and we will let them because it seems like we're doing a good cause. We're standing up for something. Here, take my house. Take my firearms. Take my life. It's almost like martyrdom of everything that we believe in this country in the name of narcissism. Wonderful Labor Day, isn't it? Frustrating for people like me that see this stuff. A lot of people just, I don't know. Doesn't make a lot of sense. Stop fighting, folks. These aren't your fights. These are not your fights. Your fight is within yourself and only within yourself. Trying to fight somebody else for their beliefs, that's wrong. That's wrong. It's a fact. This country wasn't designed to be that way. This country wasn't intended to be this way. And if you're a believer as such as myself, we're not supposed to be that way. Seriously. It's got to stop. We can't survive as a people unless we stop fighting each other. Makes no sense. Why are we fighting each other? I don't know. I'll never be able to figure it out. Never be able to figure it out. So, let's switch gears here a little bit. Talk about a Labor Day event that it seems like. This almost seems like it's any event they can come up with a reason for. This is from BenSwan.com. Links down in the About tab. Tennessee cop. I'll get off of there. Gotta love that. Tennessee cops to draw blood at Labor Day weekend. No refusal DUI checkpoints. Tennessee has a new Labor Day tradition, according to WKRN-TV. The Tennessee Highway Patrol will continue its no refusal blood extraction DUI checkpoints this Labor Day weekend, starting on midnight on August 29th and continuing until midnight on September 1st. Under no refusal enforcement, suspected drunk drivers will be forced to submit a breathalyzer or blood test, even if they refuse. Now, if you've been following this, there's YouTube videos, there's news articles, there's all kinds of things where people hadn't been doing nothing, they hadn't been drinking, they hadn't been using any drugs, or they just drive to the checkpoint, and I mean they're told that they have a choice, but then when they deny it, I mean they've been assaulted. It's absurd. The Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security issued a press release on this weekend's crackdown saying state troopers will conduct no refusal enforcement in the following counties: Union, Hamilton and Marion, Montgomery, Shelby, Hawkins, Smith, Maury, and Hardin County. The press release also described how police coverage will work over the weekend. In addition to no refusal enforcement, Highway Patrol personnel will also conduct driver's license, sobriety, and seatbelt checkpoints, as well as saturation patrols and bar and tavern checks. Due to the disputed constitutionality of police checkpoints, Tennessee state law requires that their locations be publicly announced in advance so that Tennesseans who don't want to be inconvenienced can adjust their routes. The location of this weekend's checkpoints can be found at the link that they have there. Civil liberties advocates often question whether police checkpoints, which force motorists to submit a criminal investigation on the basis of their geographic location rather than probable cause, violate the Fourth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. Also, police position that checkpoints do not have an opportunity to see how a suspect has been driving and instead must rely on less precise indicators like red eyes or fatigued behavior, which might also suggest the suspect is coming home from a long work shift and not intoxicated at all. As more officers are placed at checkpoints, fewer can subsequently be assigned to patrols upon which they could watch for impaired motorists in the act of driving dangerously. Forced blood extractions take place off-site of the police precinct, making the process time consuming for individuals who might be innocent. Additionally, for those who refuse to comply, extraction locations are equipped with tools to strap down suspects and masks to cover their faces. Yeah. Remember when we were celebrating the 4th of July just a couple of months ago? We've lost our freedom. And now we're celebrating Labor Day and we lost our labor rights? Approval for involuntary blood draws is typically attained via telephone, as judge magistrates will remain on standby throughout the weekend to handle officers' requests. Well, isn't that mighty white of them? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Where are the people? Where are the people getting together? You want to protest? Protest a DUI checkpoint. I guarantee you, You know, I don't know how many checkpoints there were, but that I read off. I don't know. I'd have to count them off. There's not that many. I guarantee you, if you put 1,000 people at each one of those checkpoints, and those 1,000 people said, "Hey, goodbye, leave now," what do you think's going to happen? Man, it's called the Stockholm Syndrome. If you don't know what the Stockholm Syndrome is, go and Google it. Please. I beg you. I beg you, please Google Stockholm Syndrome. Seriously. It's not that hard. Not a lot of effort goes into it. It's really not. Oops. There we go. I misspelled it, but Google gets everything right. Right there. Wikipedia's fine. There's videos on it. YouTube's got videos on Stockholm Syndrome. You know, and not the music videos, but yeah, right here, Corbett Report. I don't care if you like the guy or not. The subject's Stockholm Syndrome, not whether or not you like the guy. It's ridiculous. We are being absolutely controlled. Absolutely. It's sick. It's really sick. We're letting our country be absolutely taken over in every way by people that could care less. They don't care about you. They don't care about me. They don't care about nothing. And the sad thing is the people that's enforcing this stuff don't even realize that they don't care about them. As soon as they have us taken care of, they're going to take care of them. It's a fact. They tried pointing that out in Occupy Wall Street. They tried, explaining it to the officers that, you're going to lose your retirement benefits. Nobody cares. Doesn't matter. Stockholm Syndrome. Check it out. You might have a little better understanding as to what's going on and how they're getting away with it. So, the last thing I'm going to play, now this wasn't this weekend because it's still, it's still Labor Day. This was done, it was published today. However, this was from a checkpoint on August 23rd. It's a 10-minute, 14-second video, and I thought I'd play it out so you could see, our lovely country in action. By the way, if I'm not mistaken, this will have included on it how you should react in this situation, I do believe. So this should be educational in many ways.
We get the Rick.
Come on.
All right, how about yourself?
We're doing a DUI driver license checkpoint. See your driver license, please.
Is this a random checkpoint?
No, it was already planned. May I see your driver license, please?
It was. Oh, so you plan to pull me over?
No.
So it's a random checkpoint.
It's a checkpoint.
Right, and you stop the cars randomly, correct? In order for the checkpoint to be constitutional?
Right.
So then, if it's a random checkpoint, do you have reasonable suspicion to ask for my driver's license?
We're asking, stopping vehicles, and we're asking for driver license.
Okay.
Right? May I see your driver license, please?
No, you're asking, right?
May I see your driver license, please?
No. It's a random checkpoint, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So then you have no reasonable suspicion to ask for my driver's license, correct? Are you aware of Terry versus Ohio? Ingersoll versus Palmer? Any of those court cases?
I'm not.
Okay. Well, you need reasonable suspicion to ID me per the Fourth Amendment.
Well, I'm asking you. May I
Correct.
see your driver license?
You're asking, and I'm telling you, unless you have reasonable suspicion that I committed a crime or I'm about to commit a crime, no.
I'm just asking for driver's license. He's saying that he doesn't. It's not going to show it to me. You don't want to show his driver's license?
I'm saying that unless you have reasonable suspicion that I committed a crime.
Do me a favor. You pull in the parking lot so we're not blocking.
Am I being detained or am I free to go?
What's that?
Am I being detained or am I free to go?
You're being detained right now.
Okay, under what?
You're in a DUI, driver's license checkpoint. Okay, it's already been challenged several times over the last 20 years.
Yeah,
you're required to show us your driver's license.
Not the driver's license. I'm not. You're not permitted to.
Well, then I need you to pull in the parking lot because you're blocking traffic.
Okay, right, what crime are you suspecting me of committing?
Right now, you're blocking traffic. It's a violation of 22.400.
Then am I free to go? You're making me block traffic.
No, I'm asking you to pull in there so you don't block traffic.
Okay.
So go ahead and pull in
unless
there,
I'm being detained, I don't feel I need to pull in there. So am I being detained?
I just told you you're being detained.
Okay, and what crime do you suspect me of committing?
Step out of the car.
You want me to step out of the car right here?
I do. You're not moving. You're going to step out of the car right here.
Okay,
so we get the car.
I'll pull over.
Pull into the parking lot.
Yeah, we'll need your supervisor as well.
That's fine.
Where you want me to pull over at?
Right to your right.
Right to my right. To the reserve. We got the reserve.
Hey, Sarge.
You sergeant?
Yeah.
How's it going? So like I was telling your officers, this is a random checkpoint, and the courts in Ingersoll versus Palmer did rule checkpoints are constitutional, which I agree with, in order to save lives. But all you guys are permitted to do is talk to me for a brief moment, and actually you can ask for the driver's license, and you can ask for whatever you want. However, it is my right to refuse the driver's license. I haven't refused it. What I'm asking is if you have reasonable suspicion, articulatable suspicion that I've committed a crime or about to commit a crime, I'll give you my driver's license. I have no problem with you IDing me per Terry versus Ohio and the 4th Amendment. Other than that, you can't force me to give you my driver's license. They actually can't even force me to pull over right here, but I did it because you wanted to start pulling me out of my car and doing all that, so I pulled over for you guys just to save you. But you are being recorded. All you guys have been. So.
Okay, well that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. If you do have a license and things like that, though, I just don't understand why you wouldn't provide the officer with your driver's license and you would have been on your way like that.
Yeah, I understand. Well, I mean, on the same terms, I don't understand why the officer wouldn't uphold my constitutional rights and just let me be on my way without me giving the license. You guys did take an oath to uphold the Constitution, and knowing the Constitution, I don't believe this officer particularly is upholding the Constitution by calling me and pulling me over here. You can tell there's no alcohol in the car. I don't smell like alcohol. I haven't been drinking anything. I rolled my window all the way down. I'm only obligated to roll my window 3 or 4 inches down. I have no problem with the checkpoint, but I also don't have to give my license if I don't feel that I need to. So to answer your question is just based on my constitutional right not to. I'm choosing to exercise my rights. Officers shouldn't be mad about that. What's your name and badge number, sir? What's your name?
When you're done talking to him, you get this settled with the driver.
Well, I'm asking for your name and badge number.
Well, we're asking for your license. You're not giving us your license.
I'm not a public servant, sir. You are. You're obligated to identify yourself to me.
DUI driver's license checkpoint tonight. You're refusing to give your driver's license.
There is no such thing legally as a DUI driver's license checkpoint.
Okay. We don't know if you have a driver's license now. So we don't know if you're able to legally drive this car.
Do you have reasonable, articulatable suspicion that I do not have a driver's license?
I don't need to have it.
Yes, you do. Do you know Terry versus Ohio, sir?
You've been stopped, you've been detained, you're required to show us your driver's license.
You're only permitted to detain me for a brief moment. To find out.
Windows tinted?
What?
Your windows tinted as well as front?
That's
irrelevant.
The window's down. I'm talking to you. This is a DUI driver's license checkpoint.
Let's look at the window.
Sergeant.
It doesn't matter. It's not what you're stopping me for.
That's not what you're stopping me for. You don't
It
have.
doesn't matter. It's all part of the deal.
This
here,
is
right?
a DUI driver's license checkpoint. Isn't something where you can just say, "Hey, I get to now do whatever I want to you, and I get to
We
check
can
this
also
and
do
check
vehicle
that and do."
inspection. As an officer of the California Highway Patrol, I can inspect your vehicle. I can actually make you toot your horn, turn all your blinkers and all your lights on.
If
to
you
see if
have
they'll work.
reasonable suspicion that
I
none of
don't
this
need
stuff
reasonable
works,
suspicion.
yes, you do, sir.
I have authority with the vehicle code.
You guys
With the
are
vehicle
working on a great lawsuit
So
right
why
now
don't
on
you want
camera.
to show your license?
Just based on it's my right not to. That's it. It's that simple. It's my right not to. I don't have to. You can't force me to. You should just respect that. Like I said, you took an oath as an officer to
I did,
uphold
and
the
that-
Constitution.
They're allowing us, the federal courts are allowing us
To do
DUI driver's
DUI
license
checkpoints. There is no
DUI
such
driver's
thing as a
license.
driver's license checkpoint. Ingersoll versus Palmer. I'm very well aware of these laws.
Okay. So you're with
Yeah, but like I said, I asked to talk to your supervisor. You're actually supposed to. Well, you're actually supposed to not talk to me anymore, and I'm supposed to deal with your
No,
supervisor
now you're
from this
going
point.
into policy and stuff, and you don't know our policies.
Are you sure about that?
He's off. Yeah, I am positive. You don't know our policies.
That's
If you're
interesting.
telling me I'm not supposed to talk to you.
That's
There's
interesting.
nowhere in policy says I can't talk to you.
Yeah, once I ask for your supervisor, you're supposed to allow me to speak to your supervisor.
And you already talked to him.
Okay.
And he's talking on the radio right now.
Yeah, I know. He's running my license plate, finding my name, and all that stuff, which is great. You guys can do that.
Okay. Well,
Look. So just a bit of, look up these laws I'm telling you about. Ingersoll versus Palmer, Terrellis, Ohio. You're a police officer. You should know this. And I'm not bagging on you because you said you didn't know it. I actually respect that. But, Sarge, am I free to go, or am I still being detained? Am I free to go, or am I
Have a
being
good night.
detained? Thank you, sir. You have a good night, too. Thank you for upholding the Constitution. I appreciate it. What was your name and badge number, sir? Just for documentation. Ross 12894. Thank you, sir. You guys have a good night. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah? Is that my boy Louie? I think that's my boy Louie over there. Napa, CA. Checkpoint. Napa Valley Cop Block. They got my boy Louie over there. Turn that shit off.
It's ridiculous. Do you think the forefathers of this country, do you think the founders of this country intended us to be harassed like that? Because that is indeed harassment. I don't need a Supreme Court to make a judgment on whether or not that was harassment. Do you see the trouble that they had to go through and the effort that they had to make just to uphold a single constitutional right? That is what this country is about now. And we're still celebrating holidays like the 4th of July, Independence Day. It's amazing. It's amazing. I hope you guys are enjoying your day off. Have a drink for me. Enjoy that barbecue. But when you go to work tomorrow, fight for what today celebrates instead of just giving it away, giving it up. It's ridiculous. We need to stop the symbolism. We need to stop fighting one another. We need to put this country back to what it used to be. That's what I got for you. May God bless you. May He walk with you. I love you all. And I'll see you tomorrow night. Good night.